violent players in NFL history. A 16-year career marked by bone-crunching hits and 4 Super Bowl trophies. However, a career fueled by violence and hatred would result in one of the most controversial and hated athletes in sports history.
But this NFL hitman earned a nasty reputation for extraordinary violence,
was in trouble.
breaking bones of his opponents and even a teammate.
Heads turned in preseason when he put one of his teammates on injured reserve in a fight during practice.
But he told us there was only one way to survive in the
Went to the
NFL,
hospital for 4 hours of surgery after Romanowski's hit.
with overpowering strength and hatred. Steroid, the cheap shot.
I'm pissed, and I'm down there just trying to rip that ball out of his hands, and alls I could get was a finger. And at that time, I thought it was his, but just whatever it was, I just snapped it.
But an incident involving linebacker Bill Romanowski threatened to destroy the season.
But the next thing you know, you're starting to hear the rumblings. Romo just spit in JJ Stokes' face.
They talked about what actually is a concussion. You hit somebody and you see stars, you've been concussed.
NFL fans may know All-Pro linebacker Bill Romanowski as the spitting, taunting, muscle-enhancing madman of the Denver Broncos.
I will tell you both, there's never been one game where I didn't see stars.
We're talking almost 200 games just in the pros.
It turned into a race issue at that particular point.
Did you take human growth hormone?
Romo spitting into a black man's face. Was it racially motivated?
I compromised my morality to get ahead, to play another year, to play 2 more years, to win another Super Bowl.
From a young age, Bill Romanowski was driven by fear. As a child, he watched his parents struggle with finances, discussing the possibility of a second mortgage or taking a second job. And things would continue to get worse. Arriving home from school, Romo noticed how somber his mom looked, and it was soon revealed to him that his father had suffered a stroke. His dad would eventually recover, but the memory would serve as a staunch wake-up call. But everything would change on October 4th, 1982. Within the pages of a worn-out Sports Illustrated magazine lied Romo's destiny.
I was doing about 2,000 push-ups, 3,000 sit-ups.
Everything became clear to young Romo. A path to success, a path to free his parents from financial burden, a path to glory. Romo's mind and body sharpened. By his senior year, Romo stood 6'3" and weighed 215 pounds. Romo's obsessive pursuit of greatness would bring out the very best and worst in him. Amidst great talent, Romo made a point of standing out early. In Romo's first drill, he lowered his head, striking the offensive guard and plowing through the running back. But the coach was unimpressed. "Get your head up, Romo. You're going to break your neck." But that didn't slow him down. In every drill, every sprint, Romo needed to be first. As the coach announced the players who would be traveling for week 1 of the season, Romo's eyes filled with tears as he gazed at the maroon-colored sideline. Romo felt as if his dream were being stripped away from him. But this moment would spark something within him. I don't know how long it's going to take. Maybe a week, maybe a month, maybe 6 months. But however long it takes, I'm going to be over there. I will be there. From that moment on, all hell would break loose. Romo would destroy anyone who crossed his path, even sacking their star QB, Doug Flutie, 4 times, and getting into fistfights with the O-line. Romo was on the warpath. Everyone on the team wondered what was wrong with this guy, but to Romo, his dreams were on the line, and he would let nothing stand in his way. He would quickly become a starter, earning a reputation for his intense and aggressive style of play. A relentless rise that laid the groundwork for his hard-hitting NFL career. A career where that same drive would push him to the edge, and sometimes over it.
We will be live for the next 7 hours. Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Berman, and welcome to the 53rd National Football League. They'll call it the selection meeting. We call it the draft.
Legends now surrounded Romo, with the likes of Joe Montana and Jerry Rice. However, no one would have more of an impact on Romo than Ronnie Lott.
Ben's protected well to Ronnie Lott. Bang!
In the middle of watching film, Lott stood from his chair and demanded the projector be turned off.
You know, we were playing my first NFL game. There was a guy, Ethan Horton, playing tight end that pushed me in the back. And I got up and ran back to the huddle. The next day in the film room, that play showed up. In the film room, Ronnie Lott turned on the light switch and he came over to me and he said, "Romo, if I ever see anybody push you in the back and you don't do something about it, I will personally kick your ass. You hear me? And this is a game of respect. If you're going to let somebody punk you, they will punk you right out of this league."
Romo was terrified and embarrassed. But from that moment on, he swore to himself that nobody would hit him without getting hit back harder.
If you're going to let somebody punk you, they'll punk you right out of this league. And from that point on, never let anybody punk me again, ever. And in fact, if there was anybody doing the punking, it was me.
Romanowski states, "When he verbally undressed me in front of the team, it represented the beginning of Romo." To start the opening week of training camp, Romo delivered a hard shot at running back Roger Craig, a shot Craig was not too pleased with, standing up and yelling, "Romo, what the hell are you doing? This is practice." Romo responded, "Screw you, this is football." However, Romo would break one unwritten rule that would turn the whole team against him.
During one practice in your second season, you broke an unwritten rule, probably an unwritten rule of the entire NFL. You hit Jerry Rice as hard as you possibly could in practice, your own teammate.
That was one where I was engaged with a blocker. He came around on a reverse. I came off the blocker, stuck my arm out, and boom, nailed Jerry right to the ground.
You ended up getting in a fight with him.
He came after me.
Romo played on the edge, but soon His aggressive play style and winning at all costs attitude would lead him into the darkest corners of America's game.
Sellout crowd at Giant Stadium. I'm Dick Stockton along with Dan Fouts. An atmosphere that there is a slaughter in the offing. But if you're the 49ers, Dan, how do you get yourself ignited and ready for a game like this?
Romo had always assumed that players vomiting before games had to do with pregame jitters. He was wrong. Phentermine, a stimulant and appetite suppressant, had taken hold of the 49ers locker room. The drug had an amphetamine-like effect on the players. Before the game, Romo was handed a tablet of the drug. It made him quicker, faster, stronger. Romanowski states, "I truly wanted to run into a brick wall as hard as I could. You cannot believe how good it felt to hit somebody. It was like, give me more of this. Give me more of the hitting. Give me more of the contact. Give me more of the pain." The 49ers would go on to win their second consecutive Super Bowl.
There's no better feeling than this feeling right now.
Three seasons had passed since the 49ers' consecutive Super Bowl wins, and frustration within the organization was mounting. And the man that would be the victim of that frustration would be Dexter Carter.
I remember when I threw a microwave oven at Dexter Carter. We had an old microwave that literally took like 2 minutes to heat a sandwich. But if you put another one in there, it took like 20. He tried to add his sandwich to mine. I took the microwave, grabbed it, threw it at him, took him, jacked him, like I said, up against the Coke machine. It ripped off his gold chain and...
As Romo held up Carter against the Coke machine, threatening to end his life, his reputation as one of the NFL's most controversial and feared men was only beginning to take shape. But soon, things would quickly spiral out of control.
The Giants will receive the kickoff. Ray Wershing back to kickoff.
In the 1994 divisional game against the New York Giants, Romo became increasingly reckless and unhinged. On one play, as Ed McCaffrey lay on the ground, Romo rushed him and cleated him in the nuts, causing McCaffrey to spring up and yelling, "Screw you," with Romo replying, "You little wussy." But perhaps one of Romo's darkest incidents would occur later that same game, an incident that would be unknown to the public until a decade later.
In his book, Romo, My Life on the Edge, Romanowski writes about a playoff game against the Giants, where he found himself buried with running back Dave Meggett.
I'm pissed, and I'm down there just trying to rip that ball out of his hands. And all I could get was a finger. And at that time, I thought it was his, but just whatever it was, I just snapped it. And I could hear a scream at the bottom of the pile.
You broke his finger and you thought to yourself, good. He's not going to be so effective anymore.
At that time, yes.
Man, that's cold.
That's awful.
Romo was out of control. His phentermine usage had worsened, negatively affecting his home life and his play on the field. Romo was headed to Philadelphia. The change of scenery did little to change Romo. His usage of phentermine had now been replaced by ephedrine, a drug with similar effects, but the crash was nowhere near as bad. But something dark started to form in Romo's psyche. Hatred would become his secret weapon. Beginning on Monday, little by little, I would build up a hatred for the opposing team. The sport I played, the position I played, required me to be violent. At At the bottom of a pile with fullback Larry Centers of Arizona, a scuffle ensued, escalating into Romo kicking Centers in the head several times. This would mark the first time Romo would be ejected from a game and fined by the NFL, being fined $4,500, the first of a long list that would define his reputation and legacy. It would be during Romo's tenure with the Eagles when he would first meet Victor Conte Jr., the owner of the Bay Area Laboratory Cooperative, aka Balco, a company that provided supplements and testing for athletes, and one of those athletes would be Bill Romanowski.
From Victor Conte as well?
A relationship that Romo would come to regret. While Romo's reputation as a feared and dirty player would begin to take hold during his time in San Francisco and Philadelphia, it would be in Denver where Romo's reputation as the dirtiest player in the NFL would begin to take hold.
Kerry Collins' broken jaw may cost him the first month of Carolina's regular season. Hospital for 4 hours of surgery after Romanowski's hit in Carolina's second preseason loss.
Romo had come off the best season of his career in 1996, earning Pro Bowl honors. But the 97 season would start on a much darker note. Romo would deliver a vicious hit to Carolina Panthers QB Kerry Collins, breaking his jaw in 2 places and knocking him out of the game. Romo would be fined by the league $20,000. When reporters asked whether this fine would alter the way he played the game, Romo stated, "It was not going to change the way I would play. Next time I played Collins, I would try to hit him harder." Romo's controversial hit paled in comparison to what would occur later that year in Monday Night Football.
But the next thing you know, you're starting to hear the rumblings. Romo just spit in JJ Stokes' face.
It's JJ Stokes, I think, talking to Bill Romanowski. Ooh, and there is a real lack of social graces on the part of Romanowski.
Things like this can destroy a ball club.
It turned into a race issue at that particular point.
Once I found out, I'm livid. That's the worst thing you can do.
Spit on somebody? Yeah.
Spit on. It ain't on somebody. It's that he's white and he's black. That's what they did. That's what they used to do.
Romo spitting into a black man's face. Was it racially motivated?
In the heat of a revenge game against his former team, Romo did the unthinkable, spitting in the face of JJ Stokes, caught on a close-up for the world to see. Just a few plays earlier, Romo had been flagged for unnecessary roughness for a late hit on 49ers quarterback Steve Young.
Next week in Seattle, and Young to the 40, and Bill Romanowski, his ex-teammate.
But the infamous spit that would capture all the headlines was only part of the story. While at the bottom of the pile, Romo tried to rip the ball out of Stokes' hands, to no avail. Out of frustration, Romo grabbed Stokes' testicles and squeezed and twisted them as hard as he could, causing Stokes to spring to his feet and challenge Romo. In response, he spit. Unfortunately, this isn't like plays in his past that went under the radar. The infamous spit would capture all the headlines and threaten the unity and Super Bowl hopes of the Denver Broncos. Claims of racist intent swirled around Romo, a claim he would adamantly deny. Romo would be fined by the league $7,500, and Romo would later publicly apologize for the incident, stating, "When emotion runs high, logic runs low." Romo and the Broncos would overcome this moment, and as they made their way through the postseason, a run defined by redemption, grit, and legacy, the Broncos would end the season with the Lombardi Trophy hoisted above their heads. Romo's career had reached its zenith, describing the moment as unlike anything he had ever experienced. However, Romo's legacy would be overshadowed by controversy, a sinister reputation that was just beginning to gain steam. The 99 season for Romo would be defined by hard hits, cheap shots, and fines. During the 1999 NFL season, Bill Romanowski was involved in multiple incidents with Kansas City Chiefs tight end Tony Gonzalez.
Alexander complete, and it's hit hard. Right, little headbutt. Romanowski didn't like the
quarterback flushed out of the pocket underneath the coverage, and they come up well short. Bill Romanowski with the stick, and he had something to say to Tony Gonzalez after the play. Romanowski is swinging, he's going nuts, and he better watch himself.
Romanowski committed 3 illegal hits on Gonzalez, which led to fines totaling $42,500. In addition to the illegal hits, Romanowski punched Gonzalez during a game, contributing to the fines imposed by the NFL. Facing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Romo would be fined $10,000 for a helmet-to-helmet hit on quarterback Trent Dilfer.
Coming from the outside, picked up, Ward Dunn lets him go, throw the screen to him, and I'll tell you what, that is leading with the head, Bill Romanowski. That is illegal.
Facing the New York Jets, Romo would be fined $2,500 for throwing a football at a Jets player. But his largest fine of the season would occur when facing the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Only going to rush 4, and it is through the hands of Taylor, and Taylor adding insult to injury or whatever you want.
Fined $15,000 for an illegal helmet-to-helmet hit on running back Fred Taylor. Romo's total fines grew to $70,000. His head coach Mike Shanahan warned him that if the league fined him again that season, he would be suspended. While Romo was known throughout the league for his controversial play, his actions behind closed doors would soon come to light. Romanowski sat on the couch with his wife, watching his young son and daughter. Moments like these reminded Romo of all he had accomplished and all he had to be thankful for. But in a few moments, Romo's life would be turned on its head. Police had been investigating Romo for over a year for illegally obtaining fentanyl. If convicted, Romo would face a $100,000 fine and up to 9 years in prison. In court, Sports Illustrated reported that an anonymous NFL player had told the jury that Romo had told them, "We have to go up against the black guys. They're faster and stronger, and we have to take advantage of this. It is the only way we can compete with the black guys." But he didn't say black guys. He used the N-word, an allegation that Romo would vehemently deny. The case would continue to haunt Romo and his family for the next few years. And as the sun set on his career in Denver, the 36-year-old Romo looked for a new home. Romo's final 2 years in the NFL would become the most controversial of his career. Romo made a point of making himself known early. Players had heard or had been on the receiving end of Romo's brutality. And in Romo's very first practice with the team, he ripped off a teammate's helmet and launched it 50 yards downfield. The message was received. The battle-hardened Romo was as mean as ever, and no team would be made more aware of this than the Denver Broncos. In Romo's first game against his former team, his intensity and aggression were unmatched. Late in the first quarter, Broncos quarterback Brian Grease threw a ball down the sideline for tight end Shannon Sharp. As Romo battled against his former teammate, he hooked his arm and came down on it, dislocating Sharp's elbow. Sharp knew all too well that it was on purpose, and he was right. Romo wrote, "You let me go. That's what happens to you." Later that game, Romo delivered a hard hit on Broncos running back Clinton Portis, injuring his rib and knocking him out of the game.
You know, one thing that the Raider defense is really...
Romo's 15-year crusade of violence and hatred showed no signs of slowing down. In week 2 of the 2002 preseason, Romo delivered a late hit on Titans running back Eddie George, ripping off his helmet.
George, nice little cutback down to the 10-yard line. Eric Barton made the tackle.
The league fined him $5,000 for the play, a play Romo made sure to remind him of on the very next play.
McNair with time, dumps it to George.
Gotta where the penalty is. It's not now. Everything's fine there. Look at Romanowski.
Grabbing at the face mask, and that's just stupid.
However, in what would become the most notorious incident in his 16-year career, Romo would cross the line into criminality. The sound of colliding helmets echoed throughout the practice field. Coming off a poor team performance the previous week, tensions were high. On a running back sweep, Romo engaged with tight end Marcus Williams before making a tackle on the running back. As Romo got to his feet, he felt a shove from behind, which infuriated Romo. Lott's words from his rookie year rung in his ears. Romo sprung to his feet and returned the favor, shoving Williams from behind. A scuffle ensued. Williams' helmet came loose, and as he reached back to swing at Romo beat him to it, delivering an uppercut, striking Williams and knocking him out cold. The punch shattered Williams' eye socket, chipped his teeth, and caused a lesion in Williams' frontal lobe. Williams would file a lawsuit against Romo for $3.8 million in damages. But before the lawsuit could get underway, something even more shocking would occur that would shock the world.
Dozens of the biggest names in sports will be taking time off from competition to tell a grand jury what they know about the maker of a so-called designer steroid.
He got them, he says, from Victor Conti, head of the infamous sports supplement lab called Balco.
The witness list reads like a who's who of elite sports.
You have the NFL, you have Major League Baseball, and you have track and field. That really makes it probably the most far-reaching scandal ever in the history of sports.
If this extraordinary violence sounds like roid rage, steroid abuse,
how easy is it for an Olympian to use illegal performance-enhancing drugs and not get caught?
Many athletes have been illicitly bulking up with it for years.
He called it a clear substance, possibly a pro-hormone, a designer steroid.
Company Balco Labs has been named by anti-doping authorities as the likely source of the designer steroid, THG.
Did you take human growth hormone from Victor Conti as well?
Investigators are trying to discover whether, under the guise of better nutrition, Victor Conti has been helping star athletes beat the system.
You wrote, as soon as I found out something could be tested for, I stopped taking it.
Yeah.
I mean, what you're saying here is you did everything you could get away with.
The fallout of the Balco steroid scandal led to a long list of elite athletes being exposed to the public as steroid users, and among them was Bill Romanowski. Romo had met Conti during his days in Philadelphia, where he provided Romo with minerals and supplements. But it wouldn't be until Romo's final year in Denver that the use of controversial supplements would begin. THG, nicknamed The Clear, a drug designed to enhance athletic performance while evading detection in standard doping tests. But THG was not the only drug Romo took. In an interview with 60 Minutes, Romo also admitted to taking human growth hormone, a drug known to increase muscle mass, reduce fat, and accelerate recovery.
Did you take human growth hormone from Victor Conte as well?
I took it a brief period of time, and I didn't receive any great benefits. Definitely didn't receive what I got out of THG or what I thought I was getting out of THG.
A drug Conte also provided. This is something Romo failed to mention in his tell-all book, which makes you question what else he may have left out that he did not reveal to the public. But thankfully for Romo, in 2001, the fentanyl trial that had haunted his family concluded with all charges being dropped.
You know, the last game I played in, I hit Clinton Portis over the middle.
Keep it on the ground, and there's Portis. Came into the game, averaging 6.9.
And it hurt me bad. I was like on all fours, and the stadium is circling in my head. But when I ran back out on the field, the lights were still spinning in the stadium. And I played that game squinting. I played scared for the first time in my life. I knew that I'd played my last football game because I couldn't do it anymore. My brain gave out on me.
After receiving a severe concussion in 2003, Romo would hang up his cleats. After a bruising 16-year career and receiving 20-plus concussions, his brain had begun to fail him. My brain failed me, or maybe I failed my brain. They say the perfect hit in the NFL is equivalent to a car crash. Concussions would follow Romo throughout his career, but starting in 2001, more alarming symptoms would begin. He would be driving to the Raiders' practice facility and forget where he was going. Memory loss, cognitive slowing, the constant headaches. And after his final concussion, Romo had lost a sense of taste and smell.
What I did was wrong, and I apologized to him. When emotions are high, logic is low.
Oh yeah, just to run down on kickoff, and I would blow somebody up.
To write me a mean letter and, call me a bunch of names, hey, they got their right, and
I've been around a lot of challenging situations. Shannon,
Yep.
Hey, we had one in our locker room that was pretty challenging. I spit in JJ Stokes' face.
Bottom line is the people who know me know the kind of guy I am, and that's what matters to me.
You're in the heat of battle. Your mindset is kill or be killed.
Retirement is often seen as a time for peace and rest after years of toil. But for Romo, even after stepping away from one of the world's most violent games, the peace and rest he desperately sought would continue to elude him. One month after he hung up his boots, he was informed by the NFL that he had tested positive for THG. This all but confirmed the rumors that had circulated at the time of his name appearing in the federal Balco investigation. But that wasn't all. The trial against Romo by tight end Marcus Williams, who Romo had punched out a couple of months prior, was about to get started, aiming to receive $3.8 million in damages due to the practice field incident that had allegedly left him with blurry vision, poor balance, depression, and PTSD, ending his career. Romanowski's defense faced significant challenges due to the Balco scandal and his known association with their performance-enhancing substances. This allowed Marcus Williams' legal team to allege that the incident on the practice field, which ended their client's career, was fueled by roid rage. Their case was strengthened by the NFL's announcement that Romanowski had tested positive for THC in 2003. However, they were left frustrated when they were told they were not allowed to discuss Romo's positive test results as part of the case. It was at this point that Romo winked across the courtroom at Williams. The next player to take the stand would be none other than Romo's early mentor, Ronnie Lott. The jury had heard about Lott's message to a rookie Romo about standing up for himself and not letting anyone punk him, to which the Hall of Famer commented that the hit against Williams wouldn't be in my code of respect. The verdict arrived. Williams was awarded $340,000 for lost wages and medical expenses. With this being a long way off the win that Marcus Williams and his attorney hoped to achieve, they looked to start a new trial, which Romo ultimately settled for another $75,000 to end the saga.
And 53 is disqualified.
Romanowski tries to land on him with his helmet. Not to imply that Bill Romanowski is some sort of a cheap shot artist.
Yeah, he's upset with Romo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Romo got right in the mix of that thing.
That goes back 3 years when Romanowski spit in the face of JJ Stokes. Romanowski was in trouble in preseason. He broke Kerry Collins's jaw and was fined several $1,000s.
He says, you know about Bill Romanowski? When he plays for you, you love him. When he plays against you, you really hate this guy.
We asked him about his motivation, and he says, well, I start hating the other team about Wednesday.
Well, you know what I said to him? I said, you hate the offense. He said, no, I hate the entire team, the town, the people. I just hate them.
Heads turned in preseason when he put one of his teammates on injured reserve in a fight during practice.
Did you take human growth hormone from Victor Conte as well?
In a controversial interview with 60 Minutes, Romo would admit to the allegations of steroid use, including the previously unknown usage of human growth hormone. The interview highlighted Romo's violent and controversial career, the broken fingers, the cheap shots, but the interview highlighted another aspect of Romo we had not seen before: remorse.
The Balco controversy ran for 2 years. What, for you, was the most difficult part of it?
The embarrassment to my family, and ultimately, I had a little boy that looks up to his dad. And he said, "Dad, do you do drugs?" It would hurt me more than anything.
He'd heard that at school.
Yeah. And I gave him the best answer I knew how. I said, Dalton, Daddy did a lot of things to deal with the pain of the game.
The way Romo played the game was undoubtedly controversial, but Romo stated that it was necessary to survive in the league. The sport I played, the position I played, required me to be violent. I had to turn into that character on the field. I had to dig deep and take myself to a really dark place inside my being. Early in my career, I had to do it to make my mark. Later, I needed it to survive. Romo would publish an autobiography about his brutal career in the NFL, a book I highly recommend and used for the creation of this video. A fitting conclusion to a violent and controversial career. After the fallout of Balco and the Williams lawsuit, Romo bounced back. Romo would be featured in the 2005 film starring Adam Sandler, The Longest Yard. Romo plays a prison guard with a nasty edge, full of cheap shots and trash talk. In 2006, Romo started a supplement company called Nutrition 53 and appeared as an analyst on several sports talk shows. However, the controversy that haunted Romo on the gridiron would rear its ugly head. Following the Panthers' loss to the Denver Broncos in Super Bowl 50, a somber Cam Newton took the stand, and after answering a few questions, abruptly left the press conference, drawing criticism from none other than Bill Romanowski. "You will never last in the NFL with that attitude. The world doesn't revolve around you, boy." The tweet immediately drew widespread criticism, condemning the tweet as racist by using the term boy to describe a black man, leading to further accusations about Romo's racism that he endured throughout his career. Unfortunately for Romo, the controversy didn't end there. In April 2024, Romanowski and his wife filed for bankruptcy. The Department of Justice sued Bill Romanowski and his wife in 2023 for $15.3 million, alleging that they used money from the nutrition company to pay their personal living expenses. The very reason that ignited Romo's ambition had returned to haunt him.
Never seen a player so wired up as Romanowski was this week.
This then will become the highest moment, the completion of a great career, a Super Bowl championship.
Romo's career was filled with highs and lows. A 4-time Super Bowl champion, a 2-time Pro Bowler, a 16-year career, a player who never missed a game, violent, feared, dirty, hated. From the fear that spurred Romo to greatness, to the pain and damage that ended his dream, Bill Romanowski, aka Romo, will be remembered for his controversial and violent career. A controversial career that overshadowed his great accomplishments.